Why did dinosaurs get so impossibly big, and why has nothing since come anywhere close to replacing them? The largest land animal alive today, the African elephant, weighs about 6 tons. Impressive. Until you put it next to a Brachiosaurus, which weighs 60 tons, stands taller than a 4-story building at the shoulder, and does not notice the elephant standing beside it any more than you notice a pigeon walking past your foot. And Brachiosaurus was not even the biggest one. Argentinosaurus, Patagotitan, Dreadnoughtus. These animals make Brachiosaurus look modest. We are talking about creatures that weighed as much as a fully loaded passenger jet, walking around, eating trees, for 165 million years. So how did biology produce something that size, and why has the 66 million years since the asteroid hit produced nothing even close to it? The answer is 4 biological superpowers that dinosaurs had and every land animal alive today simply does not. And by the time this is over, you will understand not just what those superpowers were, but why the size ceiling they broke through has never been touched again. Picture yourself standing in a field at the edge of a forest. The air is warm, and somewhere in the trees behind you, something very large is moving. The ground starts to shake, not an earthquake, a rhythm, deep and slow and getting closer. And then a neck appears above the tree line. Just the neck, 12 meters of it curving toward the sky like a living crane, attached to a body that keeps emerging from the trees and keeps coming until the whole animal is standing in front of you. And the 6-ton elephant you were just impressed by now looks like a dog standing next to a house. This is a Brachiosaurus. It does not notice you. You are not worth noticing. It lowers its neck to the tree line and begins pulling branches apart, slow and mechanical, and the sound it makes is like a slow avalanche. Watch what happens next, because what this animal does in the next few minutes will answer everything. Start with the problem. Every large animal on Earth faces the same trap. The bigger you get, the worse it becomes. And it goes like this. Imagine carrying a backpack. Small one, easy. But every time you get a little bigger, someone adds weight to it. Not the same amount more each time, much more. Get twice as big and the backpack gets 4 times heavier. Get 3 times as big and the backpack is 9 times heavier than when you started. That is not an analogy. That is the actual mathematics of how mass scales with size. And your bones are carrying that backpack every second of every day. This is why every large mammal alive today looks the same from the legs down. Thick, dense, columnar. The elephant, the rhino, the hippo, all of them have legs built like structural pillars, positioned almost directly under the body so weight travels straight down into the ground with as little sideways stress on the bone as possible. They did not choose this design. They were forced into it by the same mathematics every large animal has to solve. And it has a ceiling. The largest land mammal that ever existed was called Paraceratherium, a hornless relative of the rhinoceros that lived roughly 30 million years ago. It reached somewhere between 15 and 20 tons, and was almost certainly at the absolute limit of what mammal bone and muscle can support on land. Nothing since has matched it. The ceiling has been sitting there for 30 million years and nothing has touched it. Sauropods did not just reach that ceiling, they went through it like it was not there and kept going to 70 tons. The first reason why will not make sense until you see it for yourself. Cut open a sauropod bone, not a leg bone, a vertebra from the neck or spine, one of the structural pieces holding the whole animal together. Cut it open the way you would cut open a loaf of bread. You expect solid, dense material. What you find looks like the inside of a bread loaf. Holes everywhere. Hollow chambers running through the structure in every direction. Internal struts crossing the gaps, but mostly just air. In some sauropod vertebrae, actual solid bone makes up less than 10% of the total volume of the bone. The other 90% is air. Your first instinct is that this cannot possibly work. A bone that is 90% air holding up an animal that weighs 60 tons. But look at those internal struts. They are not random. They follow the exact lines of stress moving through the bone when the animal is bearing weight. The same principle aerospace engineers use inside aircraft wings. Every gram of solid material is doing exactly the job it needs to do, and nothing else. Maximum strength, minimum weight. Think about 2 backpacks the same size. One packed solid with textbooks, one with the same outer shell, but hollow inside, with just enough structure to hold its shape. same dimensions, completely different weight. The sauropod skeleton was the hollow backpack. Every mammal alive today is the one full of textbooks. But the hollow spaces were not just sitting there empty, they were connected to something, and that something is the second superpower. Take a breath, air comes in, lungs extract the oxygen, blood carries it to the muscles, then you breathe out, and the same air that came in goes back out the way it came. In, extract, out. In, extract, out. Here is the problem nobody tells you about. The air leaving your lungs is not empty. There is still oxygen in it. And the next breath mixes fresh air with that stale leftover, which means at no point are your lungs ever working with completely pure, fresh air. Always a mixture. Always some stale blended in with the new. For most animals, this is fine. Now make yourself a Brachiosaurus. Your neck is 10 meters long. Your body is the size of a small building. Moving the volume of air needed to fuel that much tissue in and out through a tube 10 meters long is like trying to drink a bathtub of water through a straw that is long enough to cross a room. The resistance alone becomes a serious problem. The energy cost of just breathing starts competing with the energy cost of everything else the animal needs to do. Sauropods did not solve this problem. They replaced the problem entirely. Their lungs did not move air in and then back out the same way. Air entered at one end, moved through the lung in a single continuous direction, and exited through a completely different pathway. The lung was always receiving pure, fresh air, never a mixture, never stale. Like a conveyor belt running one way, never stopping, never backing up. This is the same system birds use today. It is why a sparrow can fly at altitudes that would render a human unconscious within minutes. The bird lung extracts oxygen so efficiently it can function in air thin enough to kill anything with a mammalian respiratory system. Scale that up to a Brachiosaurus, and the breathing demands of a 60-ton body suddenly become solvable. And those hollow bone chambers were not decorative. They were connected directly to the air sac network, extending the breathing system throughout the entire skeleton, turning the bones themselves into part of the respiratory machine. Lighter skeleton, better breathing. Two superpowers running through the same biological system at once. Beautiful engineering. And deeply unsettling when you think about how far ahead of anything alive today it was. Now watch what the Brachiosaurus is actually doing. It has not moved its feet since you first saw it. Not a single step. But it has eaten continuously, pulling branch after branch out of the tree line in that slow, mechanical sweep. That neck. 15 meters on a Mamenchisaurus, 12 meters on a Brachiosaurus. A biological crane that can sweep through an enormous arc of vegetation without moving the body beneath it at all. Imagine standing in the center of a large room and being able to reach every wall, every corner, every shelf without taking a single step. That is what that neck is doing. The food comes to the animal, not the other way around. An elephant spends up to 18 hours a day eating and moving between food sources, walking its entire 6-ton body from one patch of vegetation to the next, burning energy with every step just to get to the next meal. Feeding, for a large mammal, is expensive before a single calorie is actually consumed. A Mamenchisaurus stands in one spot and harvests an area the size of several tennis courts without moving its feet. Moving a neck through an arc costs almost nothing compared to moving a 60-ton body across the ground. The caloric efficiency of this is staggering. The same amount of food, a fraction of the locomotion cost to reach it. The teeth complete the picture. They were not designed for chewing. They were rakes. Long, simple pegs built for one job only, stripping leaves off branches as fast as the neck could swing. No grinding, no processing, no time wasted. Everything went straight down into an enormous fermentation gut that handled the breakdown later. Strip, swallow, swing the neck, repeat. That is how you fuel 60 tons. Here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Every one of these giants started in an egg the size of a rugby ball. Not a metaphor, literally a rugby ball. Sitting in a nest in the late Cretaceous, warm and unguarded, containing something that will eventually grow to 65 tons. Crack it open, Out comes a hatchling small enough to hold in your hands, covered in whatever proto-feathers or scales the species carried, eyes open, immediately alert. And immediately, something wants to eat it. A juvenile Argentinosaurus is not an apex predator. It is a snack. An Allosaurus could swallow it without much effort. A Giganotosaurus would barely notice the meal. The entire biological strategy of being enormous only pays off once you are actually enormous. Everything before that is just survival. So how did any of them make it? Growth rings and sauropod bones tell the story the way tree rings tell the age of a forest. One ring per year, and the spacing between rings reveals how fast the animal grew in each particular year of its life. In sauropod bones, those rings are spaced impossibly far apart in the early years, not because growth was slow, because it was explosive. Some estimates suggest juvenile sauropods were gaining over a ton of body mass per year during the fastest growth phases. A Patagotitan, which eventually reached around 65 tons, may have passed through the window of genuine predator vulnerability, the period where something with teeth could realistically threaten it within just a few years of hatching. Hatch, grow, pass through the danger window, arrive at a size where almost nothing on land can stop you. Compare that to an elephant calf, which takes 10 to 15 years to reach anything approaching its adult size, and remains genuinely vulnerable to lions, crocodiles, and other large predators throughout that entire decade and a half. The sauropod burned through the danger zone in a fraction of that time, and came out the other side at a size where the rules were completely different. And this fourth superpower did not run independently of the others. The conveyor belt respiratory system that made breathing efficient at massive scale also supported the high metabolic rate that explosive growth demanded. The hollow, lightweight skeleton meant the animal was not pouring resources into building structural mass before it could start adding body size. The sweep feeding system through that enormous neck meant the caloric input was there to actually fuel growth in the first place. Every superpower fed every other one. One continuous biological machine with size as its output. Then the asteroid hit. 66 million years ago, the Chicxulub impact, and with the non-avian dinosaurs went every one of those superpowers. The hollow bones, the flow through respiration, the sweep feeding necks, the explosive growth rates, gone. The mammals that filled the empty world afterward were working with a completely different set of tools. Dense bones, tidal lungs, bodies that had to walk to their food, growth rates that left animals vulnerable for years. Paraceratherium hit the ceiling of that toolkit at 15 to 20 tons, 30 million years ago. The ceiling has not moved since. Nothing alive today is approaching it. The elephant you were standing next to at the beginning of this video is doing the absolute best that mammalian biology can do. And it is genuinely impressive. But it is a different game with different equipment. Trying to reach sauropod size in a mammalian body is like trying to win a swimming race in running shoes. The shoes are not bad. They are just wrong for that particular race. Sauropods had the right shoes. They had them for 165 million years. And when they were gone, no animal that came after them ever found the same combination again. So why were dinosaurs so much bigger than anything alive today? Hollow, pneumatized skeletons that weighed almost nothing and breathed at the same time. A flow-through respiratory system that kept pure, fresh oxygen moving through a body the size of a building. A neck that turned the most expensive part of being a large herbivore, getting to the food, into a low-cost sweep requiring almost no locomotion at all. And a growth rate so explosive, the window of genuine vulnerability lasted years instead of decades. Stack all four on top of each other, and you are back in that field. The ground is still shaking. The Brachiosaurus is still there, still sweeping that neck through the same slow arc, still pulling branches apart with quiet mechanical efficiency, still filling a body that the entire history of mammalian biology says should not be able to exist. But it did exist. It was not a miracle. It was not an accident. It was the completely logical output of a biological system so well engineered for size that nothing produced in the 66 million years since has come close to replicating it. The largest animal that will ever walk this planet already lived. It started in an egg the size of a rugby ball, and it ended up too big for almost anything on Earth to stop.